Good morning, everybody. Maseches Bava Metzia. Daf. Yud Beis in the very bottom of the page. The discussion was as follows. We have to do a small chazorah, and we start the day. The chazorah is as follows. The Mishnah, the way Shmuel explained the Mishnah, is basically telling us, again, according to Shmuel, that a katan, a child under 13, or we're talking about a boy actually, under 13 has no zechia for himself. If a cotton picks something in the street, yeah, you found $1 million in the street, that's cool. Automatically, it's yours. The zechia is to his father. It's not his, and then he gives it to his father. Meritza etzel aviv, according to Shmuel, Shmuel's one said, Meritza etzel aviv means right from the start, the cotton is no entity of himself. He's just coined for his father. I had a few beautiful moments yesterday with the Ritva. The Ritva reminded me of something which is well known, and that is a cotton does have kinyan if there's das. No, das acheres makna. Das acheres makna means if an adult gives a child a present, then it's fine. Because again and again we see that when you have another person being makne, it's easier than kind of from hefker. Because you have another entity, another power that bestows it upon you, that gives it to you. So if a godol, if a person, an adult, a stranger, not a father, gives the cotton a gift, then it does belong to the cotton, especially if he tells him it's not for your father. Now, we're not talking about this. We're talking about a cotton who's kind from hefker. Then he doesn't have his own hand, according to Shmuel. He takes it, and automatically his hand is like his father's hand. He's an automatic messenger. He's a robot for his father. Then we challenge that. Why? We said there's a machloikis regarding matnos anim. What happens when you have the poel, or actually not the regular poel, the person who's a sharecropper who has ownership in a field is an oni, but he's about to be rich at the end of the month because conceptually he owns part of the land now. Okay, he's a sharecropper person. Therefore, the Nekama says his cotton, yeah, the cotton who walks after his father and the cotton is poor, according to Tanakama, cannot collect for him. Why not? Because the hand of the cotton is like the hand of the father, and the father is rich. The father who's rich, which means he's not eligible for matnas anim, cannot have his cotton, his, excuse the word, henchman, cannot have his body, he's the sidekick, who's actually him, halachically, cannot have his long arm in the shape of a little kid collect that for him. Hey, you're rich. What are you doing here? Right? And then comes Rabbi Yossi and says otherwise. Rabbi Yossi says, yes, he can. Rabbi Yossi says, yes, the kid can collect after the father and give it to the father. Why? Because Rabbi Yossi holds no. Rabbi Yossi holds the cotton does have his own separate entity. The cotton is considered to be a separate entity and he's coined it for himself. Again, I regret my mistake from yesterday. According to Rabbi Yossi, the cotton is coined for himself is a separate kinyan. And he's an oni, he's a cotton. Later on, he'll come home and then he'll give it to daddy, the rich guy. That's fine. If I'm chas v'sholem oni and I'm collecting my own matnas anim, I'm collecting it. Then a rich guy comes to my house, a donor, a rich uncle from America. Of course, I can give him a matnas anim. Why not? It's mine. I'll do with it as I wish. That's what Rabbi Yossi has. Okay. Now the question was, Shmuel is kivyochel stuck between Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel over here says cotton is no zchus. And there Shmuel says Allah is a Rabbi Yossi. Oh, which holds there is a zchus. So Shmuel is between a rock and a hard place. Does Shmuel believe that really there is a kinyan to a cotton or not? That's the problem. Okay. Now we've been through more stages, but we're not repeating now the entire Gemara. It's not a tape recorder. Let's just go straight to the. I don't believe it. Straight to where? To the point, the very last part of the Amud. Ela Omar Rove. Says Rove the final answer to that conundrum. Ela Omar Rove, Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Osu sheina zoiche tizoiche. Which means, I'll read you Rashi, one very strong line. It's one line Rashi, the top Rashi of the page. Afal pi shein lokoten zechia b'mokoim acher. Really, according to Rabbi Yossi, we're re-explaining Rabbi Yossi. Normally, cotton has no zechia b'mokum acher, which means everybody, Tanakama, Rabbi Yossi, Shmuel, one big happy family, everybody believes that normally, meaning by hefker, a cotton has no zechia. what little kleinel a cotton picked up automatically belongs to the father. Continues Rashi, kan asu kezoicher. There's one exception to the rule. In the case of a poil, which is poor and was rented out to be a poil, a worker, sharecropper, the cotton can pick after him, and in order and can give it to daddy. How could that happen? Chachamim did Ritva is the star of the day. Hefker based in Hefker. Chachamim can play around with money with the way they wish, and therefore Chachamim say now the cotton will have his own ownership. The cotton, being an oni, will be kind of for himself, and then he'll give it later to daddy, the rich guy. That they can do. Here there is an exception to the rule. Here they created on purpose a system in which what? In which the cotton will be zoiche against all odds, which is an abnormal anomaly, and then give it to the father. Everyone's going to ask why. And if you remember the end of yesterday's shir, it sounded like a mafia. Why? Why is that so? What did we say? All the anim are miyash. Why are all the anim miyash? Because the little kid who's the child of the boss, when the child of the boss comes to work, you all know, because all the workers, say, "Hi, so cute, so nice," because everyone wants to be machnif to the boss. The little prince, the little prince of the millionaire, the CEO came to work. Thank you. That's mafia. What? Yeah. Answers the Gemara. Asushan zoiche kezoiche. My time. You know why? Anim gufayu nichalehu. The anim themselves are happy with that system that the ani, who's the worker, has his child picking after him. You know why? Because one day when they will be hired, one day they will also become workers. They'll be loiket, their children will take after them, which means we're not talking about a company, a corporate thing. We're talking about a person, a Baal Sode. Every few days he picks another poil, right? Everybody is a poil in potential. So everybody in the field, all the other anim, anan sahadi, that they're happy with that system of the child of Mr. Current Worker picking for him, because they too say we also are potential. To be a poyel, you don't need a PhD in agriculture. You just have to learn to pick stuff. Every oni, every once in a while, it happens to him. It takes turns, that's all. So don't complain that his child picks after him and say it's not fair, because one day, maybe in a week or two, maybe tomorrow, you'll be the poil. It's a day-by-day thing. And therefore, then you will also want your children or your wife or your whoever to pick for you. Email, you're happy with that system, and it's a good social system, and Chachamim established it, and they made an exception to the rule because of healthcare based in healthcare, that in this case, and only this case, the cotton will pick up. By the way, according to Chachamim, they did not create it. Now, Chachamim said the cotton cannot pick up. Only Rabbi Yossi says you can. But that's a very small minor machloikis. Everyone agrees that generally speaking, your cotton has no zechia. So everything is good. Shmuel is out of danger. Daddy and mommy are not fighting. Rabbi Yossi and Chachamim are not lavdil. Are not fighting. Everyone agrees the cotton has no zechia in regular terms. Over there was one specific machloikis. What do you or don't you create a specific system very locally to the case of matnasanim? Do we say that there the cotton may or may not pick? Did Chachamim create a situation in which the cotton has his own zechia in order to later give it to the father? Yes or no? That's all. Comes the Gemara and continues. Ad kan hakafa aleph. Up until now, we explained everything according to Shmuel. And I kept telling you, and maybe you thought, does Akiva think we're stupid? Does Akiva think we became from yesterday? I kept telling you, what's a cotton? It's somebody under Bar Mitzvah. It's not so simple. That story of Shmuel understanding that the word cotton in the Mishnah means cotton under Bar Mitzvah is only Shmuel's interpretation. I want to remind you, what is the Mishnah talking about? Not about tefillin, not about Bar Mitzvah smorgasbord. The Mishnah is telling me that a child who's a cotton, whatever he picks up belongs to the father. The child who's a gadol, whatever he picks up belongs to himself. So up until now, we said cotton means below Bar Mitzvah. Gadol means, 13 and a day, and whatever he picks up belongs to himself. A teenager wants to keep things to himself and not give it to daddy and mommy. Science fiction. Unbelievable, right? Never happens. But that's what the Mishnah says. Today they would give it to you running, of course. No Shiloh. Weiter. Now, says the Gemara, that entire interpretation of Shmuel, continues the Gemara, Upliga de Rab Chia bar Abba. It argues on Rabbi Bar Abba. The Omer Rabbi Bar Abba, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, loy godol mamish, veloy cotton mamish. When the Mishnah said godol, it didn't mean a real godol, and cotton did not mean a real cotton. Ela, what is the dictionary definition of godol? Godol v'samuch al shulchan aviv zehu cotton. Cotton ve'einu samuch al shulchan aviv zehu godol, which means, I'll re-explain. Godol v'samuch al shulchan aviv. Let's say the kid, like most kids today, at the age of 13, he still eats by his father. He's still financially dependent on his father. He's sitting by his father's table. Today, that happens in some families till the age of 35, you know. So a gadol, which is financially not self-reliant, financially he's supported by the parents, is called a cotton. Is called a cotton. Why? Because the father who says to the gadol, excuse me, mister, I know you're gadol, you have your own chiyuv and mitzvah saveras, but I support you. I support your, seminary classes and your guitar classes and your thing and your fancy clothes. So, I support you. So when you find a Metzia, you might as well, you could jolly well give me the Metzia. Because this is a financial thing, like by the wife. You have a cotton, like in the stories, you have a cotton, he's 7 years old, 8 years old, but he's self-reliant. He supports himself. 8 years old, he went to work. He's already, self-employed. So then, Zeu Gadol, he's a Gadol. He does not have to give the Metzia to his father. The Metzia belongs to himself. Oh, so that's a revolutionary idea. We're basically saying, did you hear, that really, according to the new interpretation, not like Shmuel, you can have an 8 years old, you can have maybe a 6 years old who is in computers. He's very good in computers. At the age of 6, he started his own stock company. He's richer than the parents. He's independent. Such a kid would keep the Metzia for himself. So we never really said the whole basic axiom, the basic premise that a cotton knows for himself was Shmuel's idea. According to the new idea of Rabbi Bar Abba, no, really a cotton may be kind for himself. So the whole problem of a cotton has no chet never started, because according to Rabbi Bar Abba, and the whole story of Rabbi Yossi never ever started. According to Rabbi Bar Abba, a cotton below bar mitzvah may be kind from hefker. I'm not saying that's a law for Maisa. I don't think that's a law as far as I remember, but that's another opinion of Rabbi Bar Abba. And gadol and cotton is not a question of age; it's a question of financial independence. That's it, and that's not like Shmuel. And now it's time for questions. Yeah, I can't be North Korea since I was late today, so my fault. But let's continue. No, let's hear your question. Yes, I'm listening. Here we come to the next sugya where we also have a chart, which unfortunately didn't get to do online. If you printed it yesterday, then great. If not, also great. Metzias avda v'shifchos ha'ivri mareu shel atzman. Very nice. What did we say in the Mishnah? If one has an eved and shifcha, which are ivri, which means an eved ivri is not a real eved that belongs to the person. An eved ivri is more like a 6 years long lease kind of worker. Yeah, but he has many rights, and his body does not belong to the owner. Yeah, Mashenk and Eved Knaini, his body belongs to the owner. And what did we say? If they pick up a finding, the Eved Ivri, what does he do? He picked up his own thing. He picked up something, belongs to himself. That's what the Mishnah said. Frag the Gemara, Amai, why is that? It's all very nice that he has many rights and you give him the nicer cushion, but at the end of the day, lo yeh ela poyel. At the end of the day, even if you view the Eved Ivri as independent and he has rights and he has his own body, at the end of the day, let's say the Eved Ivri is as free as a poyel. What's a poyel? A regular worker. A regular worker like today in the most liberal egalitarian country, you have poyelim. They have their own rights, right? And also in halacha, you have a poyel that works for one day. He can go home whenever he wants. That's a poyel. Even a poyel, frak the Gemara, even if you view the Eved in the highest esteem like a poyel, most independent thing like a poyel, still Betanya. We saw in Daf Yud Amud Aleph the following brisa. Metzias poyel le'atzmoi. A poyel keeps his own metzia for himself in the middle of work, in the middle of the factory, in the middle of cleaning the floor. A poyel picked up something. It belongs to himself. When is that true? If the balabais, the boss, the employer told him, if the balabais told him, which means I want you to weed the grass for me today, or hoe the ground with me today, which means you're only hired for one specific job. You're not hired for everything. You're not a kolbenik. You're not jack of all trades over here. You only what? You're only the worker for one specific thing. Then he's more a higher level of freedom. He's not even his work is not owned by the balabais. Only one thing he's supposed to do, to be menakesh or oider. And if he found the metzia, then the metzia belongs to the poel. Now, you do have to know already now, let's say it took him, I don't know, 10 minutes to take out the metzia. I'm not joking. Good idea. Hashem helped me. Let's say he was hoeing in the ground, he was raking, and he found some, like in the stories, like in the movies, he saw some glitter, some glimmer, gold. Oh, it took him good 15 minutes to unearth it, and he found a beautiful gold thing. 10, 15 minutes? Who's going to pay the balabas for those minutes? The poil. The poil will keep the $1 million gold casket, yeah? And those 10, 15 minutes, he has to pay the bailim. Okay, so far so good. Now, however, aval, but, Omer loy, asa imi melocho hayoim, if he says, do work for me today, the word work is a very, very general word, which means what? You are now, konu to me, you are mine, all your work is mine now for everything and anything. I'll tell you to wash the dishes, I'll tell you to wash the dog, I'll tell you to wash the car, I'll tell you to dance hula hoop in front of my children. Anything I do, anything I want, as long as it's halachically okay, you do today. It's also the balabais. Then the metzia that he found, that gold casket belongs to balabais. Why? Because we see that if the person is the poel, all his actions belong to balabais. Any work you do today belongs to me. So when you unearth the gold thing, when you found the metzia, it also belongs to me. Which means, let's see now the contradiction, and you can see it in the chart in 2 columns. I will send it today to everyone again by mail, so everybody will have it, in the people at home in Zoom. Basically, there's a stira. The Mishnah says what? The Mishnah says that, what do we say? We have a poel, an eved, and everything belongs to himself. He's an eved ivri, he has rights, belongs to him. And yet, what did we see in the Brisa quoted here from Daf Yud? We saw that it belongs to the balabais. So, just a regular contradiction. Does it belong to the poel / eved or to balabais? Now, before we continue, and this is something which even before the chart we should be aware of. That is for sure. That is for sure. You can't say. The Novi says, "Aratzachta v'gam yorashto." Yeah, says this proverb in English. You can't have the cake and eat it. Something you have to pay. Yeah, there's an American politician. He said, "There's no such thing as free lunch." In other words, you have to pay one end or the other. Which means, if you took 15 minutes to unearth the metzia, and let's say it's not gold or something cheaper, lo mishaneh, then something you have to pay the balabais. Either, listen to me carefully, and that will help you tremendously. Either you decide that during those 10, 15 minutes, you are a free man, and the metzia is yours. I took a break. You took a break. There's not corporate America over here. You have to pay for the break, right? In other words, if you want to keep the metzia for yourself, saying, okay, now I did my own stint, my own thing, good, fine. But then, yeah, it's your own metzia. For the time, you have to pay the balabais and keep the metzia. Or you can say alternatively, that during those 15 minutes, you still were the worker of the balabais, yeah? And then you give them the balabais, the metzia. Either give balabais the metzia, or pay the balabais for the time off. It's either or. You have one of two options. What is it not clear? I see people are not so. Avada, that's simple logic. That even Lahavdil Mackenzie, Chas v'Shalom, Lahavdil. Again, when you took 15 minutes off your work and did your own digging, oh, it was so exciting. What, a teenage girl? What do you mean? You are 15 minutes off work, and no, at the end of those 15 minutes, you also became the owner of the gold thing. No, you're working for me today. Every minute of your day belongs to me, says the boss. Now, halacha, we're not just asking them. Halacha can decide on one of two maslulim, one of two alternatives. Either the poel will pay him for those 15 minutes. Let's say I pay you, I don't know, 50 shekels, expensive, for every 15 minutes. So the poel should give the owner 50 minutes, 50 shekels for the 15 minutes, and then keep the metzia, right? Those times I pay for the time I took off, but during the time I took off, I was my own person and I keep the metzia. Or you can say, no, during those 15 minutes, you still work for the balabais, and therefore You worked for him as a finder. You know, there used to be such a profession, and we see it later in the Gemara, a finder, a person whose job is to find things. Oh, so then those 15 minutes you don't pay, you don't have to pay for the time, but you pay with actual giving the bailim, the metzia. But one of the two systems has to work that way. And that's exactly the question. Here it seems like, what do we say in the Mishnah? Hefterveld. The Mishnah says he keeps his own thing. What do you mean keeps his own thing? Yeah, how can he keep his own thing? His time is completely consumed by the owner. As we saw in the Bryce, so the solution is what? Solution is you give the balabais. The guy is supposed to do everything. The kolbeinik, not the one who's only for one job. The one is the kolbeinik. What's the option we opted for? We say no. Give the metzia to the balabais. You're working for me all the time. Every second you work for me, and therefore, while you found it, you worked for me. So the metzia is mine. Just like the painted wall belongs to me, or the swept floor belongs to me, the metzia found belongs to me too, says the balabait. It seems that the option is you stay my worker 24/7, 6 or 7, and the metzia belongs to me, says the balabait. And the Brisa says no. The Brisa became liberal, and then the Mishnah. The Mishnah says no, it belongs to the poil. What's going on over here? That's the question, and as you all know, there are 3 answers. Are you yes? Okay. Oh, fine, sure. Shh. Now your wife will get a note. People are waiting with their questions. Very nice. Omar Abchia Bar Abba. Answer number 1. Omar Abchia Bar Abba. Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Answer number 1. Hacha over here. Over here. Soon we'll see what's over here. Be'eved Noikev Margolios Askinan. We're talking about a slave, an Eved, who has a very, very expensive job. You know what his job is? His job is to pinch the pearls. Yeah, there are pearls, and he is a special pearl designer. No. I discovered a year ago, Be'erech, after 50 years of speaking Hebrew, more or less, Margolios, and I researched it with my wife, the translator. We did a whole research. Margolios, all over the place, means pearls and not diamonds. Yes, I'll prove you from many places, but I don't have time now. Avadim Tov Margolios, Margolios Hayam, the Margolios under the sea, Margolios are pearls. Okay, so you can call your wife Margolios. So now, so fine. So I'm telling you, the kids are that Eved, you know, is a diamond cutter in Ramat Gan. The point is, we're talking about an Eved that has a specific work over here, yeah, and not only its specific work, askinan, she'en rabbi roitze l'shanos l'mlocha acheres. His Rav, which really means his master, would never change him for a different malocha. What does that mean? Which means, usually, you can see the first line of Rabbi Yochanan, yeah, the first option, Rabbi Yochanan, usually, in the normal case, so to speak, it's not worthwhile for the master to, yeah, usually Metzia is worth more than the time of the poil. The poil gets meager 30 shekels an hour. I don't know if it's legal, 35. What's the minimum today? He gets 40 shekels an hour. And the Metzia is the Metzia. The Metzia is a gold watch. The Metzia is a wad of cash, yeah? So Avada, which one of the 2 alternatives that I mentioned is worth for the Balabais? Avada, for the Balabais, who's the boss, who's the one paying, he who pays the piper calls the tune. The Balabais says, usually in a regular case, what is it kedai for me to do? You stay my worker, right? Yeah. And you give me the margalit, you give me the metzia, you give me the metzia, right? It's worth it for me for the balabais because the metzia is worth more than the time. So stay my worker and give me the metzia. Over here, by the Nokev Margolios, it's the other way around. The Nokev Margolios, it's the other way around. His hourly salary, or not even salary, the worth of his work, Nokev Margolios, is worth more than the metzia. That guy is a Nokev Margolios. You know how much he charges per hour? He's a lawyer. He takes 500 shekels an hour. Or even if he doesn't, that's what it's worth. And the Metzia is worth only 200 shekels. That turns the table. Because we're talking in a case in which what? Really, the Melacha is worth more. The time of the Melacha is worth really more than the actual Metzia, right? So the Eved is stupid. The Eved is foolish. David wants the Metzia. Thank you very much. Because David also is not making this money. But for the Balabais, Avada, it's worth for the Balabais to do what? To say, you keep your Metzia, and I'm not going to lose my thing. And therefore, in that case, look at Rashi. Rashi says it better. Yeah, it says Rashi, She'en Rabba Oitzel Shanois. It's a few lines above where we're in the Gemara. Hilkach, Loi Nichalei Shagbia Loi Metzia. He doesn't want him to work for him in picking up a Metzia, right? And therefore, the Metzia in our Mishnah belongs to who? To the Poel, not to Baal Habayis. Says Rashi, the Metzia Me'ula B'damea Yischar Bitur Malachtoi Loi Shchicha. It's not common to have a Metzia more than the Bitul Malacha. Here, the Bitul Malacha, the work that he works in diamonds, in perils, it's 200, 500 shekels an hour. It's not common to find a Metzia that expensive. Hilkach, Itrami ve'ashkach. If really found a Metzia, Shaloi hu, it's really his, belonging to who? Belonging to the Poel. That's what our Mishnah was saying. Our Mishnah was the exception to the rule. And then he belongs to who? To the Poel. But you'll have to pay the Rav, you'll have to pay the master, the Eved, will have to pay the master the amount of time that it took him to do it. We're choosing that route because now it's better for the Baal Habayis. But as I stressed in a I don't know how it came out in the print in your printing, as I stressed, Lamaisa, in normal Eved, normal Eved really, the Metzia belongs to who? The Metzia belongs to the Baal Habayis. A regular Eved is not a Nokem Margolius. A regular Eved who does this, that, and the other belongs to who? Really belongs to the Baal Habayis. Now, answer number two. Rove Omar, Metzia imelachtoi askinan. You know why the Metzia belongs to who? Belongs to the Poel and not to the Baal Habayis in our Mishnah, because he never lost any work in order to find it. No, he did not unearth something for 15 minutes, very nice. No, he was sweeping the floor. As he was sweeping the floor, he found a nice diamond. Oh, cool. So he didn't spend 1 second. It took him a quarter of a second to put it in his pocket, and he anyhow had to put some bit of garbage in his pinafore. Very good. Solamaisa, he didn't lose anything for the Baal Habayis, didn't cause any loss. In that case, of course, David says, it's not me against you. I can still be your loyal worker, working for you 24 nonstop, except for, of course, the normal breaks. Yeah. As I'm working, I found a diamond and took it for myself. That shouldn't bother you, says the Eved, and Eved is right. And that is our Mishnah. The Brisa spoke again about the normal Eved. The normal Eved who does lose work in order to find it. It took some time to deal with the Metzia. Not, he had to go a little bit far away, to dig something. A regular Eved who needed to do some extra work and stop working, in that case, that is the normal case of the Brisa, and the Metzia belongs to Baal Habayis. The Baal Habayis says, for me, it's worth it. You give me the Metzia and not the other way around. That's the second answer. Third answer is revolutionary. Third answer argues in a very profound way on the two previous ones. Third answer says, Rav Papa Omar. Rav Papa says that the Ukimt of Rav Papa is now in the Brisa, not in the Mishnah. You know which a regular Eved, says Rav Papa, does not give the Metzia to the owner. Rav Papa is for workers' rights. Rav Papa says no. If the Metzia is worth it for the Eved will keep the Metzia and pay the amount of those 10, 15 minutes or 5 minutes of Baal Habayis and keep the Metzia, which in many cases is worth it for the Poel. Afuch, the Poel, which we said is a kolbeinik, is a general guy who does everything. No, he doesn't do everything. He's actually supposed to be there only in order to pick Metzias. His job is to go and find stuff for Baal Habayis. You may raise an eyebrow and say, what? People are so foolish to actually employ people for money. Go find this, go find that. Says the Gemara, no. How would that be? How would that be rational? How would that be common for somebody to employ somebody just for that? There is a case. The agma bekavri. Let's say it was a flood. Akpi means there was like an overflow and floating. The river was floating with fish, and the fish flew, so to speak, overflooded out of the river. Then the river quieted down, and the fish are all there, floundering away. And the Baal Habayis says, go find them, find a lot of hefker fish and give them to me. Says the Shulchan Aruch, even if the Eved, since the Eved is now employed for finding stuff, That's his job description. Mimela, anything he finds belongs to Baal Habayis. Let's say between the fish, he found what? He found some cash. He found, the Shulchan Aruch says, he found a wallet with money of a goy, of a pachuchi katatutu. Then what? Then he belongs to Baal Habayis. Because that's the idea of, I told you to do anything. Anything means any kind of finding. Mainly it's the fish, but could also be other things, then belongs to Baal Habayis. But a regular poel who's just hired for just about anything, we work with the workers' rights, with the poel, according to our Papa, and then we say that really the owner is who? The poel. And the arrangement should be the poel keeps the Metzia, in those 10, 15 minutes, he pays the Baal Habayis for his time off, not the other way around. Well, the two opinions before held no. The two early opinions, Rabbi Yochanan and Rava, they held no. A regular poel should give the Baal Habayis the Metzia, and he's considered his worker all the time, and does not have to pay for the time off. There is no time off. Questions or comments are welcome for the next 2.5 seconds. Yeah. He was one. No, Ellen was very, very patient. Yeah. Weiter. He gets a meetos card. Yeah. We have now the chart online for those of you who are watching us in the video mode. Yes. And Yaakov has a question. Again, nobody argues with Mishnah or the Brisa. According to the first two opinions, the Brisa was the normal. The Brisa that says belongs to the employer is the normal thing. And the Mishnah that said it belongs to himself, that was some kind of quirky, interesting case. Either it's a Nokiv Margolios, or he didn't lose, da-da-da. The Shaken Rav Papa says, no, the Mishnah is a regular. The Mishnah is a regular run-of-the-mill case, which means a regular Eved belongs to himself. And the Brisa was the weirdo. The Brisa is a weirdy case. The Brisa is the one who says, because the Eved was hired only to find, then all the findings belong to the owner, because that's what he was hired for. In a regular case, the owner, yes. Unless there is a certain specification. Yes, absolutely. I don't know if there's slavery or not in North Korea, but that's where we are now. Yep, okay. Fine. Sorry. I'm saying it bluntly. Let's continue. Okay. And now, 1 second. Let me share now the Gemara again. No. This is not happening. Okay. I'll continue just like that. Okay. Weiter. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's continue. Okay. Says the Heilige Gemara. Says the Gemara like this. Now we're talking about the girl, about the Shifcha. Hi Shifcha Echidami. We said that the Shifcha, what about the Shifcha? The girl who is an Ama Ivriya, and she is working for the Baal Habayis, a Jewish maid, a Jewish girl working for Baal Habayis. That maid, her findings belong to her, belong to herself. The Mishnah is going to show me that that is basically impossible. Why? Let's see. Frag the Gemara. Hi Shifcha Echidami. What's the story of this Shifcha? If that Shifcha already has puberty, reached puberty, and she has 2 hairs, my Gabe, what's she doing there? It's mefurish in many, many places. The Mishnah in Kiddushin, that once a girl reaches puberty and she's a Jewish girl, she's not allowed to. She's automatically released from the owner. There's no such thing as owning a Jewish woman who's a woman. You can own a Jewish girl below Bat Mitzvah, below Shtei Sairos, because they explained they needed it for money, miskana, maybe she make a shidduch with Baal Habayis' son. But above mitzvahs, there's no such thing as her being there. What's she doing there? Now, if you want to tell me she does not have the 2 hairs yet, she's 11, let's say, then what's the story again? You say she owns something, she's the owner of her own findings, something here doesn't work right. Why? If her father is still around, if her father is alive, she works and lives by the Baal Habayis, but she does have a father who lives somewhere else. If her father is still alive, then the Metzia she found should for sure belong to the father. Why? Because there is a halacha, as opposed to a boy, where I admit I'm a little bit in the dark, but a girl, it's mefurish. A girl, it says, base aviha. Anything that all the money, bechule, that the Ktana owns belongs to the father. So it should go to the father. The third option is what? She's below Bas Mitzvah and she's an orphan. So if the father is not there, then if the father is not alive and she's an orphan, she should also be released from the master. Why? The Amar Rish Lakish is mechadish his own chiddush, and he says, Ama Ivriya, a Jewish maidservant, koine atzma b'misa sa'av, mirshus sa'odoin, mikal v'choimer. I'm not going now into the kal v'choimer, but Rish Lakish proved that it's a kal v'choimer, that a ktana, shifcha, not shifcha ivriya, ama ivriya, which is a ktana, and her father died, the death of the father releases her from being owned, from her being an ama ivriya. She goes back home to her mother and her brothers. So, hey, wait a second. There's no option. Wait, all three options are closed. Here's Yamsuf we need here. Again, let's repeat. When on earth do you have a person who is an ama ivriya and can own her own thing? That can never ever happen. Why? If she's above age, she's just not an ama ivriya. She's above age, right? Did you ever see an 80 years old who learning in school? She's over age. No such thing as a gdola. Elma, she's a ktana. If she's a ktana, it should belong to her father. She belongs to the father, not to herself. When do you have a ktana that it belongs to her? And no, if the father's wrong, it belongs to him. Or what can you say alternatively? That the father died. That's a third option. Her father died, so she keeps everything for herself. By the way, that may answer a question, Ellen. You see that a yosoim or yosoima, they keep things to themselves after the death of the father. However, we say that doesn't make sense either. Because that third option of what? Of who? Her being a ktana and a yosoima, doesn't work either according to Rish Lakish. Because Rish Lakish says once the ktana's father died and she's a shifcha, she's released automatically from the odin. If so, the Mishnah just doesn't make sense. Zog the Gemara, the Lavi Sois of Rish Lakish, what's your problem? Rish Lakish's idea was already rejected from another brisa in Kiddushin. That opinion, which is Rish Lakish's Chiddush, as in he's in a Moira, that opinion of Rish Lakish is not really lahalocha. It was rejected. What did Rish Lakish say? That a shifcha, that an ama ivriya ktana, whose father died, what happens to her? She goes scot-free. That opinion was questioned. Oh, so it's good. If you don't have to follow Rish Lakish, then our Mishnah can talk about an ama ivriya who's obviously underage and yesoima, so she keeps everything to herself. I think we have an answer actually to Ellen's question. Because if we hold that way, you see that a ktana, the kolchik and a cotton yesoima, they keep everything to themselves. Good. So Lamaisa, we can just ignore Rish Lakish and go on with life and say that really our Mishnah talks about a ktana yesoima. She still is owned. She's owned by the Baal Habais, as opposed to what Rish Lakish said, and she keeps everything to herself. But she's Ivriya, she has rights, she's not a Knainis. Zog the Gemara, however, the Gemara makes a comment. Shall we say that our Mishnah is also tiyufta against Rish Lakish? In other words, if we're looking to disprove, to reject Rish Lakish's opinion, maybe our Mishnah is also a proof against Rish Lakish. Because if we say yes, like Rish Lakish, that the girl really is a ktana and goes out once her father died, then our Mishnah cannot survive. Says the Mishnah, lo, 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 lo. Our Mishnah can coexist with Rish Lakish. There is an answer. It's true he was rejected, but that's stories from Kiddushin. By us, we can say no. Enochinami, the Mishnah can survive with Rish Lakish. How could that be? We can say our Mishnah talks about an Ama Ivriya who is the daughter of someone. Her father is not dead. The father is still there. If the father is there, how can she own it? She's a ktana and the daddy is there, so daddy owns it. It says the Gemara, Umay Harehen Shalohen La'apuki de Rabba, not Rabba de Amoira. Harehen Shalohen, when we say that the Metzia of an Eved or an Ama Ivriya belong to them, doesn't mean that it belongs to her as opposed to her father. It means it does not belong to the owner. Who does it belong to? The father. Really, we're talking about a ktana who has a father. And when she picks up a gold watch in the middle of work, you know who owns it? Daddy, not the balabais. When we say it's hers, it means to say it's hers and her family, and not the owner. There are two parties, not two people. There's the family of the owner, and there's the family of the father and the shifcha. Father shifcha corporation team, they get it, and the father gets it and not the Baal Bayis. So Rish Lakish was not rejected. However, I saw again in the Meforshim, I think it's the Ritva, and he says no. Lemaisa la'aloch, we don't hold like Rish Lakish. So our Mishnah would say that a Ktana, which is the Yisoima, yeah, that's the story here, and it belongs to her, not to her father. So I think that's the answer to your question, though I just want to verify, mashma that the Ktana, Kolshik in a Koton, once the father is not alive, they get everything for themselves. There's no other entity. But I want to verify it. Weiter, last part before the end of the Mishnah. What? If there is an owner and she's not a Yisoime, it goes to her father. Goes to her father. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it goes to the father. Says the Gemara at the very end, Metzias Ishtoi. Last but not least in the Mishnah was the wife. Yeah, was the wife. Okay, was the wife. What did we say about the wife? Let's say his wife, if the wife is still married to him, anything she finds belongs to the husband. Why? Because to avoid Ava, to avoid animosity, we want Shalom Bayis. He works himself very hard, and therefore says, if I work so hard day and night, he goes from Brooklyn to Manhattan the whole day, and he works so hard. So now it says, you were spending your time in Brooklyn drinking coffee all day. So now, yeah, I want you, the Metzia that you find, to be mine. And Allah supports him. Now, what's going to be in a wife who's divorced? What do you mean? Of course, divorce is no connection anymore. But what did the Mishnah say? If the wife is divorced but didn't yet get her ksuba, even then, says the Gemara, really, then the Metzia still belongs to who? Belongs to the wife. No, belongs to the wife. Once divorced, belongs to the wife, even though she didn't get her ksuba. When she's still married, it goes to the husband. After the divorce, belongs to her, even though she didn't get yet her ksuba. We're going to talk about the ksuba later because the Ritva says something from Yishalmi. Correct the Gemara. Girsha pshita. What do you mean? Once divorced, who cares whether she got the ksuba or not? Lamaisa, once she's megoreshes, in our halacha of the Bavli, a woman who's past divorce, not b'chlal connected to him, she can remarry tomorrow. She waited 3 months. She didn't yet get her ksuba. Machpatli, she didn't get the ksuba. He does not support her anymore. Guys, listen to this. The Yerushalmi holds, I never knew that, Yerushalmi holds that a woman who got divorced but did not yet get her ksuba, in that case, you know what we say? That the husband still has to support her. Wow. Until she gets her ksuba, he has to support her. So then I would say it's a big chiddush that she keeps the Metzia to herself because he's still supporting her. Wow. And that's what the Yerushalmi holds. Our Gemara says, no. A woman once divorced, she's waiting her ksuba. That's a technical bureaucratic thing. It's like dealing with Misrad Hapni, Misrad Tachbura. It's bureaucracy. But she's eligible for ksuba. She doesn't get mezonos. Frag the Gemara, pshita. I read a lot into the word pshita. So if she doesn't get mezonos and lamaisa she's divorced, of course she keeps her own mitzvah. What's the chiddush? Answers the Gemara, yuju kimta. Wow. She's divorced and not divorced, which means she's a suffix divorced. For example, one way to be megarsha woman is to throw the get into her daladamos. She stands in a simta, let's say, not in Rosh Hashanah, question, yeah, and what? In the dalad amis, and we have a suffix, we measure, and we don't know whether it's closer to his dalad amis to her dalad amis. There's a technical question about the get. It happens today in other ways. There's a suffix on the divorce. So, when a woman is suffix divorced, suffix not divorced, the Baal still has to pay mezonos. He still has to pay, even though she didn't get the, even though we're not as good as the Yerushalmi that says she gets it till the ksuba. But lamaisa, it's a suffix yes or no, and he's muchzak to give her the mezonos. So we say, okay, keep giving her the mezonos until, especially by the way, since the Ritva explains she cannot remarry. I know you don't like her, but lamaisa, since she cannot remarry and be supported by another guy, she's still dependent on you for parnoso. So Mimela, the husband who has a suffix wife, is this your wife? Maybe. Suffix wife, suffix not, still has to support her because Miskana, she's attached to him. So he still has to support. I know don't like it. Whoa, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 3 more lines. So now that's a chiddush. Oh, One would say, wait to say, let's stop here. Wait. So if he supports her and give her mezonos in that limbo gray area, twilight zone, maybe she has to give him the Metzia. Says the Mishnah, no, women's rights. Why is it that in a regular, healthy situation, a wife's Metzia goes to the husband? If she finds a diamond ring, he goes to her husband. So we want to create non-animosity. We want to avoid animosity. We want to avoid hatred because we want shalom bayis. He should work hard. She should give him the mitzias, and together they'll go to Acapulco. We want them to be happy. Isle Eva ve'eva. It's a gone story. There's hatred, and there's hatred already shine away above and beyond. Since that woman is Suffolk Megureshes, and he still has to support her, and Lamaisa, he hates her anyways. He hates her guts anyways, and she hates him anyways. Mimela, to start that idea, let her give him the Metzia and try to, avoid Eva is a lost case. And therefore, over here, we say, no, she does not give him the Metzia. Right? Question, yes. What would you like to ask, Rabbi? What? You wanted to ask something or no? Jeffrey? Right. Have a good day. Tomorrow, 9:20, Metzia Hashem. Atzlacha. Thank you very much. Kol tuv. Bye.